everybody. I'm Scott Hamilton from Rockfile Radio, and I have the great pleasure to be talking again to ROINE STOLT of the Flower Kings and Transatlantic. We talked a month ago about the new Flower Kings album, and now we have this amazing new release from Transatlantic to discuss. So welcome, ROINE. How is everything on your side of the Atlantic?
It's pretty good, actually. It's kind of dark in Sweden because it's winter time. So we have the sun goes down around 3:30, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of, but we're up in the north, you know. So
right.
But besides that, and I mean, like everyone else, we're struck with the COVID. Not personally, but the country as such, you know, it's a bit depressing for many people. I try to not get too much into it, even if it sometimes, you know, get very close
mm-hmm.
and personal. But, you know, so I'm not the kind of guy that's sitting around and watching television and watching the whatever death toll stuff.
Right.
Or the discussions of vaccines and stuff like that. You know, I try to move on and to be in some kind of a happier and more creative space, you know.
Same for myself.
Yeah.
So the new Flower Kings album's doing quite well. How's the reception been?
It's been fantastic. I mean, I've been around for a very long time, so it's. I wouldn't say I'm jaded, but you know, I think in particular, I think I'm happy because I mean the newcomers or the new guys in the band, I think they're really happy about the reception. You know, and the reception was good for the other album, Waiting for Miracles too, but this one it seems like we did something right. You know, and I think that the blend of more like structured songs and then the bit of improvising and a bit of experimenting, a bit of fusion, a bit of synth craziness seems to be it seems to be something that just works really well for our audience.
Yeah, I love the album. I've given it many listens, and my audience is responding to it well too. So
yeah.
So it's been a while since a Transatlantic album. Your last release was about 6 years ago, and you've been working with these guys now for about 20 years. And I know a lot of people are afraid to use the word supergroup when you're working with guys like Neil, you know, and such, and Mike and Pete. You know, you're all just superstars in your own right, and you've all gotten together to do these incredible albums and tours and live albums and such. So I found out the new album was coming. We all got very excited, and then we found out that you basically released 2 albums. And so what I'd like you to explain a little bit of, because they said that the 60-minute album is not actually edits, you just approach the songs in a different way than you did the 90-minute album. So what was all behind this, and why did we get 2 versions of the album?
I could see this coming, you know. When this happened, you know, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, my goodness, I'm going to do interviews and I'm going to explain every time why did you do this? Yeah. Well, to cut it short, the thing is that the recording started more than a year ago, and we did the basic writing and recording of the album in Sweden, September last year. And as usual, we get together. I think there was lots of material. We had, I know for sure I had maybe almost 1.5 hours of music. I think Pete had maybe 35 minutes of music. Neil came in with possibly 15 minutes of music. And then when we get together, we, of course, start writing completely new music, you know, and jamming and new things comes up. So with all this music, you know, we ended up with what is basically the long version that's called Forevermore. That's what we sort of left with, you know, when we finished the sessions in Sweden last year. And then it was lying around for a while, and everyone was out touring. And then came about this time last year, or, you know, December, Christmas time, we start working with the material again. And I think at that point, I think Neil got kind of second thoughts. Is this maybe too long? Is this too much? So he proposed to cut it down. But by that time, we had already sort of fallen in love with certain sections or the shape or the form that this piece of music already had, you know. So I think half of the band wanted the album to stay long, and half of the band said, "Yeah, it's okay, we can cut it down." And then I think Mike do both versions actually, because no one has ever done that, you know.
Right.
how can you possibly argue with that? Yeah, that's right. True. No one has ever done two albums. It is so fucking complicated. How can we really remember this? I mean, to be honest, I actually, when you talk to journalists and they start talking about songs, and then I have to start thinking, okay, how did we do that? How did we name that song for that version, you know?
Right.
And then you have to go back and start thinking, okay, what actually, what are we talking about now? Are we talking about that bit? Are we talking about that bit? Talking about that song with that lyric? So it's that was, I should have known. It was a trap. We're sort of now in we're in hell. No, but it is complicated, and I think, to be honest, I think once everything is out there and people, you know, get their version of the album and they start listening to it, or maybe they get both versions or all versions, I think, and for us also, of course, I think it's sort of, it will be more clear and understandable, of course. But right now, and I mean in particular, I mean since we started working on the album, I made an album with the Flower Kings also now, and working with some other projects. So there's lots of music floating around, and then you're supposed to remember every specific bit, you know. So it's a lot. So I mean, I feel for the fans, because they're kind of confused, and I'm confused too. So we're sort of in the same boat, I suppose.
Yeah, when I got the press release, it said these are not edits of the longer version. This is actually a different whole version. I'm like excited to explore both sides of what this project is, you know, as a fan.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I think this is something I tried to point out when we did a press release. I said, I think it's not fair to say that these are completely different versions, because they are not completely different versions. What complicates it even more is that the poor guy that's been mixing this, Rich Mauser, he has to sort of get in with his scissors in certain sections, cut out bits and pieces, use some of whatever the Forevermore version, take that and make a new session in Pro Tools, and then edit in the new parts that actually Mike tracked new drums, we tracked the bass and guitars, etc. So it's I think it's even probably too complicated to really explain what it is. For sure, it's not it's not like we have replayed when we did The Breath of Life. We didn't replay each and every bit. There were certain bits that were replayed, and then there were certain bits that were used from the original session. But then we redid cool things, you know, for those bits. So it's I mean, I usually say it's a bit of chaos where everything comes from, but in the end, it's like we have you know, time and Rich Mauser is sort of what saves the situation, because he did a great job with all this, and I don't envy him 1 second. It took some time, but you know, it's and I definitely don't want to be him, you know, because I know, I mean, sitting with Pro Tools and cutting and pasting bits and trying to make the drum sound the same, you know, whatever was tracked at one time, you know, and then tracking from another studio and making everything sound like it's recorded at the same time.
Right.
It's it's not easy, but I think, I mean, listening to it now, it sounds great. So whatever he did great.
Yeah, I just got them. I just started listening to them. I don't have some pointed questions because I'm just now starting to digest it all. But man, it's so much great music.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're happy with it, and this will be great for the fans to explore. Well, hey, this is a 2 CD set. This is a 1 CD. Oh, this would be a different listening experience.
Yeah.
We prog guys like, full albums and and you guys are not afraid of doing long songs or doing things differently or whatever. I mean, you have 30-minute epics in your repertoire, so it's like.
I think to be honest, the reality of it is, it's not like we're not afraid of. It's like we're forced to do it because there's no other way out of it.
The music takes on a life of its own, and it becomes long.
Yeah, we start whatever, investing our money, our royalty money in recordings, and then we're in the middle of pandemonium, and then suddenly out of that we got to make something that we actually can sell to the fans. To be honest.
So how did you guys?
We've been doing this for.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go on.
Oh,
no?
Yeah, you said you've been doing this.
Hello.
Are you still there?
I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and I think now with this is the 5th album, and I just relax knowing that every time we come out of it, with a great product, and whatever seems to be chaos, slowly, bit by bit, with the help of us, of course, but also with the help of Rich Mouser, everything fall into place, and out comes a good or a great recording, I think. So it's just a very different way of recording or making albums, and I mean the fact that we are sort of 3 chefs in the kitchen, or sorry, 4 chefs in the kitchen, to be honest. Even worse.
Yeah, because you really need an odd number for that tiebreaker, right?
Come on. Well, the thing is that when you just look at it, the prospect of this actually working is like, I'd say, oh, really? Is this going to work? But it does in some mysterious way, in the end. We, without any major friction or any major fallouts, we just, I mean, walk out of this and with a new album, and it works, and the record label is happy. Usually the fans are happy too. So in some mysterious way, it works actually.
Right. It all comes together. Well, you guys have worked together, on and off for quite some time now, and you probably, are enjoying getting back together in a groove with these guys that you've played some great music with.
Yeah, I mean, it's 20 years. 20
right.
years. Not that we've been working every day for 20 years, or not that even when we're working on albums, it's not like we're working on a daily basis, because, I mean, 2 guys in USA, 1 guy in England, and 1 guy in Sweden, that makes it a bit complicated to have any band meetings or stuff like that. That's impossible. But we get together, we do albums, and we tour, and then there's a break, and it could be a break for a year, or it could be a break for 5 years, But we've been going for 21 years now, and that's sort of a testament that there's some kind of magic in it, or maybe black magic. I don't know.
I do agree, it's musical magic. It really is. So obviously, with the COVID thing, you haven't made tour plans, but can we hope for a transatlantic tour when things return to a bit normalcy?
I just count on, because there's so much time and money invested in it. So I think everyone would possibly want to tour, to play the music live, and to make more money, to be honest. But it's great. I mean, it's great touring, and it's great playing live. We all live for playing live and meeting the audience, and all that. But to be honest, right now it's really difficult to tell. So I mean, I get this question all the time, even for the Flower Kings interviews. It's like, will you guys come out and tour? And I mean, there's nothing I can say really. It's whatever I say. Okay, I say, well, maybe Transatlantic can tour October next year, and maybe that's true, but maybe not. Who knows? We just have to sit tight and see what happens, you know, and how the world can cope with the COVID and the kind of the bizarre situation that we're all in now, you know. And
agreed. Yes.
Until we have that under control, I think it's, well, yes, you can dream about playing live, but for me personally, I kind of enjoy it like it is now, because I can take some time off and do other things and you know, write music and finish other projects. And not touring is okay, I think, because touring takes time and it sometimes costs money. So I think, and I think probably I feel that sometimes when people say, oh, you're a musician and you can't tour and you can't make any money. And I say, well, don't feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for the guys who set up my amps, or the guys who are rigging the drums, or doing the lights, or doing the sound, or driving the trucks. These are the people suffering right now. They don't have a job. I'm okay. I'm making albums. I don't lose any money. I'm making money, and they have nothing. So I think it's kind of a misconception that you know, people feel sorry for musicians. And well, if you're at the level that you're actually playing clubs or pubs and stuff like that, but for any band that's sort of in a level where they're actually touring, international touring, I would say then probably you're selling albums enough to make a living out of it. And anyway, you know, you've been going for a long time. So for me, or whatever, Mike Portner or Neil Morse or Peter Vavas, I think we're not really suffering from this. It's our crew people that are suffering.
Well, we hope everything things seem to be headed in a better direction. Fingers crossed that hopefully next year things get to be a little bit more normal. But, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
We take it as it comes and we make every day the best day we can, right?
Absolutely. It's like we just have to sort of sit tight and listen to the expertise, you know, because we are not experts, you know. We don't know anything about this. It can happen to anyone. So So, you know, I had family members that had the COVID, and I've had friends that had the COVID, and it can happen to anyone. And we just have to trust whoever knows better than we do, you know.
Right. So how did who made the first phone call? How does a transatlantic project get off the ground? You guys haven't seen each other or talked much in the last 5 years, and somebody makes a call. How does it work?
Usually it's not a call, it's an email. And it's cheaper.
Very.
Email is cheaper. Phone call is complicated. No, I think if I remember right, it was Neil who sent out an email and said, "How about next year?" I think this is probably could have been Christmas time 2 years ago, and I think he probably sent out an email and saying, "How do you guys feel about getting together, recording another album? And how does the year look for you guys?" And then we would just try to find some time. So I think the reason we ended up recording in Sweden in September was frankly because we couldn't find any time before that. I think everyone was busy. Mike was busy touring. Pete was busy touring, had sort of scheduled things for Marillion, and you know, so we ended up start recording September last year, and yeah, I think once I think everyone wants to do an album, but I think the difficulty is to actually find a time when all of us are free at the same time.
Right, where
So,
schedules all match because you're all busy guys.
yeah. And then you have
So,
to start talking. Sorry?
right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, what do you do? All right, we talked in the last conversation that a lot of your off time you spend still making music. It's just what you love. It's part of your life. But what do you do for hobbies when you just like, I need to put music down for a little while and get into my own space? Do you go fishing? Do you watch movies? What are some of the things you do to like get back into that headspace where you can make music again?
Well, what do I do? Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I usually, after a long day working, I would say normal day for me working in the studio or working with music, stop at around maybe 10 o'clock in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually sit down and watch a movie or watch some kind of a series, and besides that, when I have days off, it's probably if the weather is fine, I'd like to, take a walk, go on the bike into the woods, or go to the seaside, stuff like that. Just relax, sit at the cafe, drink coffee, drink a glass of wine or whatever, in the sunshine. We have a sort of a part-time dog. My oldest son's dogs that we have about maybe 2 or 3 days a week because he works. So the dog is here, and then naturally you have to go with the dog, and go for walks and stuff like that, which is nice because you need to get out, and in the open and in the woods and stuff like that. I mean, besides that, I don't read much. Nowadays, you read more like on the internet, unfortunately, because I like to read books.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then when you go on holidays, then I bring a book. But so that kind of thing. And I like to cook, actually. So food is an interest. That I think both me and my wife, we try to, because we try to stay away from meat, so we try to expand the horizon of vegan food all the time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that's
because that can be a challenge to find new things that are tasty. And,
yeah, but believe me, we have found plenty, but we're searching for more, and we're just saying each and every time we make something and say, oh, this was amazing. Can you believe it? There's no meat in this, And I mean, luckily, both my sons they actually went before us. They stopped eating meat maybe 10 or even 15 years ago. So, we're kind of a almost meat-free family, I would say. And so cooking is interesting, In that sense, we can always try and make up new recipes, and we're even talking about writing a book. So that's probably something.
Oh wow, that'd be great.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, but we said, well, this coming year, I mean next year, we probably get to it and do it because, as I said, I'll be home anyway, so there's not much touring, and then you gotta do something, and I can't just go on making music every day. So that would be interesting.
Well, because I imagine, I do podcasts and things like that, and I find that some days I'm just not in the zone, so to speak, that my brain isn't working that way to get out a long form anything, and I probably just need to take a break and come back later when and then all of a sudden it hits and I can sit down and I can go, so I know that feeling well, that some days you just can't produce what you want to produce because it's just not in you, so to speak.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm kind of a unique personality in that sense that when everyone else stops, I keep going for another couple of hours. So everyone else is fall asleep in the studio. I just keep going. So I'm unique, but I mean you're right. Sometimes it's just like just go on the bike for an hour and a half and then come back to the studio, and suddenly your brain works in a much more effective way, you know, and probably you get oxygen to your brain, and that
Right, that probably helps a lot.
yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we just try to you know, be active, and so I mean, the downside is that I sometimes, when people ask me, so what albums have you listened to lately, and I said, I don't have time to listen to albums.
Right.
I listen to albums when I'm on a flight, or if I'm on a train, or maybe in a car, in a tour bus. But I mean, at home, I rarely listen to albums, which is a shame. Actually, it's I mean, just listen to music for relaxing. It's something I miss.
For pleasure, right?
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
Well, as a radio guy, I run 2 radio stations, and people ask me, what's your, you know, the album you're listening to right now? I'm like, I have a stack of albums I need to listen to find out what fits on these radio stations.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
You know, it's work that I love, but it's still not listening for pleasure. It's, I have to listen to this and have a professional opinion about it, you know? And so I too sometimes find that I'd really like just go listen to an old Rush album or something tonight, you know,
Yeah,
but I got to listen to these for work, you know, and I'm sure that when you're working on projects that it never gets fully out of your mind while that's going on.
No, it's like I don't know. It's weird. It's not like I'm suffering, you know. It's not like I feel bad about it, but it's there all the time. When you're working on something, it's like it doesn't matter. You go into the shower and suddenly you find yourself singing. Oh my goodness! There's someone. I don't know what to do. It's Scott Medina calling. Can I just tell him that I will call him now?
Yeah, we can wrap up because you do have some other things, and I kept you a little bit. So yes.
Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I can hear you. How about you?
Yeah, that's I'm multitasking now. So, do you mean, are we ready, or Scott? Can I call you back in 10 minutes, or is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Okay. Call you in 10 then.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye. Okay. Sorry
Look
about
at you
that.
Multitasking. That was good.
Yeah. I fixed it.
Learning technology is good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like some of the interviews are on Skype, and what's this? You're using something else, Zoom. Yeah.
Zoom, yes.
You prefer Zoom?
I use Skype for years, and what I like about Zoom is it does a little bit more editing on its end. So, and I've not had as hard a time saving a Zoom call as a Skype call and editing it. That kind of thing.
I get it.
So for the way my system works, I do like Zoom a little bit better, but Skype is improving what they do. So.
Okay, I get it.
But I had never used Zoom until COVID. I was always a Skype guy, and a few people suggested I try Zoom, and it actually works very well.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
So here we are. We're at the holidays. You've got 2 major projects out there in the world. You're going to take some time off, I hope, and just kind of celebrate a little bit?
Well, I mean, normally it's probably work, because there's a little bit work still, you know, a few more interviews before Christmas. And then also there's, we're doing this thing with Transatlantic, like sort of a round of interviews. Mike did his, Neil did his, that was put up yesterday, I think. I'm fixing or editing mine, and gonna do that. And then I have Flower King's video for a new single, as they call it, that we're doing the last things of that one. And there's and yet another Flower Kings that we're starting. So I suppose there will be work still during the holidays. I'm normally not the guy that sit down and watch a lot of television, you know, because I think it's the same, you know, and there's commercials, and there's like Christmas celebrations all time, and old movies that they show one more time. And so I get kind of restless, you know. doing that thing. But I spent some time with the family, and then probably get back to the drawing board and whatever the mixes, the editing, stuff like that. And so that's like pretty much normal, and for me, Christmas Eve is Christmas Eve, and we have my brothers here and my kids are coming, so we're like a small celebration, and then back to normal, I suppose. Working and working and working.
Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your family. Congratulations on the Flower Kings. It's a great album, and super congratulations on this Transatlantic project. It's so epic. I'm still wrapping my mind around it. It's just so good, though.
Take some time.
Oh. But congratulations. Enjoy the holidays. Kind of revel a little bit in your successes, and then get back to work, because we're always demanding more music from you, it seems.
Yeah. I'll take some time off. A day or two. Okay.
Well, thank you for taking the time, and I hope we get to do it again real soon.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Have a fabulous day.
Yep. Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.